makes me wanna holler, go away. I need more peace and hope and love. Where do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I've got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
You know we need them. Yeah, we do. We need them especially right now. I'm talking about strategies. Those strategies for living. So are you ready? You ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
I don't know that I'm ready for much, but I'm ready for radio.
Yeah, okay. All right. That'll do. That'll do. Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome into another edition of Strategies for a Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian. She is psychotherapist, PLPC, Lauren Leon McMillian. I read a post earlier today on Facebook that asked the question, what is a book that you read that made you want to read more by that author?
Oh.
Isn't that a great question?
That is a good question.
Immediately, of course, what came to mind was Scott Peck. Yeah, mine was because The Road Less Traveled, when I read that back in the mid-'80s, it was written in the late '70s, but I read it in the mid-'80s, and it just absolutely turned my world upside down. But then, I began to think, okay, well, I did, in fact, read as much as I could find written by Scott Peck. But then I thought of people like Don Miguel Ruiz. I thought of people like Neil Donald Walsh.
The one that came to mind for me was The Custodians by Dolores Cannon.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and then immediately I started thinking about, Dr. David Hawkins wrote Power versus Force, and I mean, look
You've got the collection.
Look up at my collection that I'm, going through and diving into and studying. That guy wrote a ton of books. Anyway, we're going to talk today about books that everyone should read at least once in their lifetime. Now, this is not a scientific list. This is our opinion.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, we're going to throw it out there and we'll just see what sticks. How about that?
Add your own.
Folks, thank you for tuning in to Strategies for Living. We appreciate you being with us, and we appreciate our sponsors making it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing, Learning RX, we train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of The Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. Going to talk about some books we all should read at least once, maybe more, here on Strategies. Stay with us.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there. Looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
And welcome into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian. Hope everybody's warm and safe.
Well, and what better time to dive into some books, right?
Oh, gosh, yes. My goodness. Do you know, it's funny to me, Lauren, I was not always I love to read now. You know that.
Yes.
I was not always, during my grade school and middle school and high school years, I would work harder not to read something than to read it. I wish that weren't the case.
No, I understand.
But that was the case, and I don't know where it turned for me. Somewhere in my 20s, I think.
Yeah, you don't even remember the particular book that changed you?
Well, yeah, The Road Less Traveled was that book.
Yeah,
I mean, and
that's what I was thinking.
That was there was no question
that was the book
was the book
that changed you into a reader. That was.
I think it was the book that changed a lot of things in my life.
Well, I knew
literally
that.
Turned my life upside down. But one of them was it made me appreciate the power of the written word, the power of a great book.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because I was always a good reader. I always tested way above for not being a reader.
Yeah.
I can remember like in the 5th grade, I tested on the reading on the 11th grade level.
Yeah. Well,
and I mean, my teachers, I think, assumed that I read.
Right.
And I got put into a program called Great Books, and in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
And it was a special kind of, because we got to read books like Miracle on 34th Street, Little Women, Black Beauty, and we went once a month. We got carted over to St. Joseph's. I went to Christ the King in Bossier, but we got carted over to St. Joseph's School. And it was kind of a group we would all talk about.
It was like a book club.
Kind of like a book club for kids.
Did you actually read them then? I'm like calling you out.
All right. You're calling me out. No, I mean, I kind of read Miracle on 34th Street. Okay. So that was the one that intrigued me the most.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Black Beauty was the first assigned book. Little Women was the second. Black Beauty kind of interested me a bit. Little Women, no way. I mean, I was in the 5th grade. And come on now.
Grade boy,
you know, 5th
Women,
grade boy. I don't want to read a book called Little Women. But, anyway, it was on the list. But before Christmas, we got to Miracle on 34th Street. And that, I tried. And I can remember arguing with it.
Yeah.
And trying. But it wasn't until, that book, The Road Less Traveled, that I really became enamored with you, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
The written word and books. Yeah. And look around.
Oh, well, yeah. we have a library, so.
And some in storage. Yeah.
So.
But anyway, so it intrigues me to think about what are some books that everyone should maybe think about reading. Here's the thing. Just like I was, just like in my case, reading, and when it happened, it can shift your worldview. Oh, was there a particular book for you that turned it around?
I'm honestly I still fight with it.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there were some like the Dolores Cannon books, and Neil Donald Walsh.
I know you see me reading a lot, and I know you say, I wish I did that more.
Yeah, I do. I still have a lot of old programs around reading from my family, but also from school.
Yeah.
Because I was like you. I mean, I always tested high.
You were tested high, and you were put into.
When I allow
made
myself,
the assumption,
when I read, when I read over your shoulder, I read faster than you do.
I know you do. I know you do.
And so, I can do it, and it's fine.
Yeah,
it's just something in there about.
That's interesting.
Yeah, all the old school stuff you have to finish.
But a great book shifts your worldview. It can challenge assumptions and simply open a door or a window that you didn't know existed. Now, books, some of them entertain, some of them educate, but there are rare ones out there, truly rare ones, like some of the ones we're going to talk about today. The Road Less Traveled being one of them, Conversations with God being another. But they stay with you long after you've turned the final page. And so all of the books I think we are going to talk about today fall into that category. And they're, some of them are psychology, some of them are self-growth, some of them are fiction, some of them are spirituality, some philosophy, because I think, the when you look at psychology, philosophy, spirituality, fiction, it expands your universe. It expands universal truths about being human.
I also think that there's a lot of good fiction books that can do that as well if you allow them to. Right?
Absolutely.
A lot of good novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, things like The Catcher in the Rye.
Oh.
And for me, I actually read Catcher in the Rye after, but the Catcher in the Rye of my generation, I think, was Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah.
And so I read that one first, and when I heard that it was it was similar to Catcher in the Rye,
that's been banned some places now.
I can't believe that. That's
we
crazy.
We were in a conversation not long ago with my daughter, who's an English teacher. Over in Texas, and she mentioned that the road less traveled. The Catcher in the Rye was banned in several places, several school districts.
This doesn't even why.
And I don't. Thankfully, that was on our assigned list at Jesuit in my freshman reading class. Mm-hmm. And I know usually they don't give that to freshmen, but they did in our case.
Yeah. But I couldn't think of a more perfect time for you to experience that book as a freshman.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because it's pertinent and it's a coming of age and it's stretching and growing and where are you in the world? It's a thought provoking. It prompts you to ask the big questions that we ask, right?
Amen. Yeah. And I actually, not long after you and I started dating, you and your family went on a beach trip.
Yes. Yeah.
And we hadn't been dating long enough for me to be invited on that trip.
Right.
And I took that 4 days or so, and I reread A Catcher in the Rye.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And it was fascinating to go back and
I bet to look
at that and read it again
with the new eyes.
With very different eyes than I read it the first time.
Did it hit different for you?
I think it did. Yeah.
Did different things stood out to you?
I think most definitely different things stood out than when I was 15 years old. Definitely.
I think it's important and neat to reread stories like that. That impacted you so much growing up. One that I think I could stand to read again that really impacted me in the way that The Catcher in the Rye might have for you is Looking for Alaska, John Green.
Yeah.
And that was one of those authors when I was, I guess, in high school that I sought out more and more after Looking for Alaska. I read.
So what was it
about
John Green and his writing and Looking for Alaska that roped you in?
It's the main character is very, in all of his books, I think, the main character is very deep and searching. It's very coming of age, but also very grappling with the questions of who am I? What am I doing here? Where am I going? Yeah, and he brings in, you can tell, big ones. You can tell John Green was really invested in his own journey of understanding philosophy and psychology and religion. Yeah. And so his characters were also had hints of that and brought that in. One of the things that I think it was the main character from Looking for Alaska. I get them mixed up now, all the John Green books, but I
maybe
think
time to go back and read
obviously. Again. But it was that one, I think, where he was obsessed with famous last words, the last words of people, and so it brought in that depth of what like you ask at the end of the show, right? Like that memento mori, that death is present, death is important, and we're all going to face it. So what does that mean? Yeah, and so it was questions like that really spoke to me.
So that goes right into one of the books that we talk about quite a bit here on Strategies for Living, and one of the recommended books, certainly this evening, that we're talking about, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Absolutely.
There aren't many books that really hit the human spirit as hard as Viktor Frankl's story of surviving a Nazi concentration camp.
Mm-hmm.
The power of that book is not just in the suffering; it's in what Frankl discovered, and that is that human beings can endure almost anything if they have a meaning.
Meaning the logotherapy, which is what he created out of his experience.
Yeah.
Right?
And so if there's a meaning to hold on to, and some people say, well, gosh, that sounds like a depressing book. It actually is just the opposite of it.
No.
It's a reminder of the strength that you didn't know that you had, and it teaches that meaning isn't found. Meaning is created, and that freedom at its core is your ability to choose your response.
Yep.
Not, I think we are messed up in some ways about freedom. Freedom is about how we respond, no matter the situation.
Yeah, it's about how we choose to respond, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Man's Search for Meaning. We're talking about some books today that perhaps we should all read more than once. And talking about it today here on Strategies for Living. We've got more. We'll be right back.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies for living radio.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living Radio. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian, discussing today, talking about books that we should all probably read at some point in our lives, and maybe more than once. The second one on my list, I mentioned my daughter Kylene, the English teacher, right?
Yes.
So she gave me this next one.
Yeah?
This is one of her very favorite authors, The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho, Coelho.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but at any rate, The Alchemist. It's a novel, and it feels very much like a fable, but it's actually a spiritual guide and a personal conversation all wrapped together. And it's about following your personal legend. It's about trusting your intuition and recognizing that it's the journey that matters more than where you're going to, more than the destination.
Yeah.
A lot of times people underestimate this book because it's not very big. It's one of those smaller books, and it when you first look at it, it seems very simple, but it's like a lot of profound truth. Simplicity is the delivery system, and it's a book that finds you typically at the exact moment that you need it the most. So if you happen to be right now at some kind of crossroads, any kind of crossroads, maybe in your career, maybe in a relationship, maybe, I don't know, where you're going to go to church, you're unsure of what to pursue or who to become, go pick up The Alchemist.
It sounds like a good one.
I would say it is a light forward. However, it's not a bright light. It's a very gentle light forward. Yeah. That's the way I would describe The Alchemist. And I have to thank Kylene because I had heard of the book,
Yeah.
but when she
Well, and you're not typically one to read novels either.
no, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah.
But when she recommended it so strongly to me several years back, I, obviously I had to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to add to our list. We mentioned Dr. David Hawkins, Power versus Force.
Yes.
And he's written several books from there, including Eye of the Eye, Truth versus Falsehood, many, many, many more books.
Yeah.
But the seminal book, the book where he introduces his map of consciousness, is Power versus Force. And wow, it's a book that will make you think.
Well, and it's such an important book for, I think, that in particular this time that we find ourselves in, right?
Yeah, really.
I mean, there couldn't be a more important time for us to understand consciousness, what it is, how to transcend the levels of consciousness, how to see it in ourselves and in others, and to help to raise the consciousness of the planet.
Yeah, and I mean, to realize...
Well, and to understand the seminal question he posits, which is, what is power versus force?
Right.
Because I think that's something that we don't typically think about. And I think it's a very important question to consider, because I think since we were kids, we are often trained to think of power as some terrible thing that you don't want to be, is an egoic thing. Right. And it's not that at all. We all have incredible power within us.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's about reclaiming that power. Could you imagine what the world could look like when we each begin to reclaim the power within us?
But what most of us experience in the world is not power.
Right.
Unfortunately,
it's force.
It's force. And so, it's interesting. The original, when Hawkins first put out his book, two people who were no longer with us were alive back then and wrote endorsements for the book.
Yeah.
Sam Walton was one of them.
Okay.
And Mother Teresa was another.
What a pair.
Yeah. Sam Walton and now Saint Mother Teresa.
Right.
Back when Power
I don't think
versus
you could say
Force.
the same for Sam.
Yeah, you probably could, because he was a great guy from all accounts, and certainly has left a legacy that changed the world. Yeah, one way or another. Here's a book from James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits. A lot of people are aware of atomic habits. And it would be in the genre of self-help book, but it's not really a self-help book. It's actually a manual for changing lives. And it's about changing lives through the smallest possible steps. And so what James Clear does is he shows that transformation is not about discipline. It's not about motivation. He says it's about systems. And if you improve just 1% every day, we've all been taught the compounding effect, right?
Yes.
We've
absolutely.
all taught at some point in school, we had to study compounding and the effect of compounding money. Well, it's the same thing with improvement. If you just improve 1% every day, the compounding effect becomes life-changing. And so this is a practical book. You can, this is one of those books that you don't have to read it cover to cover. If you read one chapter and immediately start taking action, you're gonna see some effects.
Yeah. So in other words, if you can read it in the same way that he prescribes to do life.
Yeah.
Right. Which is just one tiny habit better at a time. Right.
Right. It's called Atomic Habits.
It's also the idea that 90% of the thoughts that we think today are the same ones we thought yesterday.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And so if we could just change that 1%, that goes back to that compounding idea, right?
Right. And it's funny as we're talking about these, it's incredible to me how one of the books that we talk about, kind of gets moves into the next one, because Power versus Force and Atomic Habits and Search for Meaning all kind of come together, if you will.
Sure.
You can appreciate that it's a tapestry. Not to mention the Alchemist that we've talked about.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Another one I want to mention is an oldie but a goodie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, Marcus. Yeah. He's
Meditations.
Okay.
by Marcus
I have
Aurelius.
not read the full thing, but I have, read bits of it.
So Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor,
Right.
and he wrote the book for himself. He wrote the book very privately for himself, and it reveals a mind that is deeply committed to wisdom, to humility, and to resilience.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it teach? It teaches to stay calm through chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It teaches to detach from ego. It teaches to focus on the things that you can control,
Right.
not on what you can't control,
In
and let go of everything else.
Yeah. In other words, it's a lot of the principles of Stoicism.
Yeah. This is one of those books, and maybe all of the books that we're talking about today fall into this category, but this is certainly one of the books that will speak to you differently each time that you read it.
Yeah.
Because you're different every time that you pick up the book.
Absolutely.
What's the old saying? You'll never walk into the same river twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The river is always different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another book that is fairly new, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, Yuval Noah Harari. And man, talk about mind expanding. 300,000 years of history, and it's into one book. And the book attempts to explain why we think, why we act, why we live the way we do today. And it's the kind of book that can change the way you see everything. It's the way you see culture, the way you see politics, the way you see religion, the way you see money, the way you see technology, and even human identity.
Mm-hmm.
The whole of it. It's interesting. Every one of the books that we've talked about so far, I could say, if I didn't consciously ask this question, Lauren, I ask it certainly heavily unconsciously. How did I get to my life so far without having known and read this book? Yeah. And I would put all of these books into that category.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, books shape, along with everything else that we take in, shape who we are. And I think that would be that's also a form of therapy, bibliotherapy, right? To be able
definitely.
to go back and look at all the books that you took in and that helped to form the person you are today.
One of the books on our list is coming up, Don Miguel Ruiz. I can't tell you how many people that I've assigned that to that come back and tell me that book changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Talking about must reads, some books that we all need to read at least once, maybe twice or more. Talking about it today here on Strategies for Living. Believe it or not, we've got more. We haven't run out of books. We're not going to.
Oh, no, I don't think we can.
We'll be back.
We all have problems. problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies, strategies, strategies for living radio.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian. Having fun today talking about books. And we're actually talking about books that everybody should read at least once.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
You know, you've got me thinking about all the books that, shaped who I was and the ones that really stood out to me in my growing up.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm thinking back even to when I was a kid, right? One of the ones that I used to read, I read it every year for at least 3 years, maybe even more, was Tuck Everlasting.
Yeah.
I loved that story.
Yep.
And then
it's called?
Tuck Everlasting. Yeah, by Natalie Babbitt. There's a movie too, but I've never seen it.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to. That's one. I didn't want to ruin it for myself because I loved the story so much.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I'm chuckling because as I'm thinking back over some of the books, and I'm thinking about when I was a kid that really stood out, that shaped me. There's a theme that I'm seeing.
You see a theme emerging?
So, because I loved Tuck Everlasting, which was about this family who had found a spring, so they lived forever, right? And then the next one that stood out to me was The Time Machine by H.G. Wells.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I loved that one. And there are some moments from that book that still stand out in my head. And then I loved A Wrinkle in Time. And so as I'm
seeing a theme emerge here.
Right? Are you? Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Okay.
Were you consciously aware of that before we?
No. No.
Okay, so that's another thing. What's just played out here is another reason.
Yeah, exactly.
That selling point, if you will, that I would give you for reading, and even if you don't. Even if you don't like to read, now we've got this wonderful thing called Audible and audiobooks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Audible has made audiobooks.
And I think it's really
so
neat.
easy.
And it's really neat to have the book read by the author. I think
in many cases, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. And I think that's a really cool experience
it is
to
cool.
have.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Here's another one on the list that I think everybody should read. And, it's interesting. This is one of those that has been banned in places.
Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Harper Lee's classic. And there are some novels, and this is one of them, that some novels become touchstones. They become cultural touchstones.
Yeah. Because
they reveal very uncomfortable truths, but they do it with grace and they do it with humanity. And To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee is one of those.
Yeah.
Because it's through a child's eyes. This book explores justice, prejudice, morality, compassion, and what it means to do the right thing
and
when it's hard.
I can't imagine it being banned because it really was very impactful in my life. I mean, it was assigned to me. I guess maybe it was in middle school sometime, maybe early middle school. It was 5th or 6th grade.
If you're aware of a place, and there are places that have banned this book, it probably should raise the question: what the heck are they doing? Yeah. And to have the courage to, again, it's interesting because of the theme of the book. The very theme of the book. And so many times, again, back to power versus force for a second, many times when those in authority are coming from a place of force, they don't want questions.
Right.
And
this is a book
this book is about asking the tough questions.
It is.
And
it's about,
standing up for what's right.
Seeing a different perspective and having the courage to look
ask
around.
the questions. Yeah. and even in spite of when people are saying, don't ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
Another book that's on the list is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
Yeah.
And this is about the human mind. If you want to understand the mind, if you want to understand your mind, this book, and it's by a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, Daniel Kahneman is his name, and he explains the two systems that drive how we think.
Yep.
So system one is the fast, the automatic, and the emotional. And system two is the slow, the rational, the deliberate. And once you understand the systems, then you begin to tune in, you begin to notice how often your brain misleads you. And you begin making decisions with more clarity and less cognitive bias. Now, it's not a light read.
No.
But it is definitely a transformative read.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's a practice. It's a offer and an invitation into the practice of mindfulness without naming mindfulness.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, it's about giving yourself that power to step back and witness your thinking, and then to be able to choose which track am I using more and which track do I want to engage with.
Of course, we talk about this one probably as much as we talk about man's search for meaning, and that's Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements.
Yes.
This is a little book. This is a short, it's a very simple little book, but it's a little book that can be life-changing. Yeah. And I can't even begin to tell you, I mentioned this, how many people, I have used it through the years, recommended it here and there to clients through the years. And I can't tell you how many people have come back and told me this little book changed my life. And it's just four simple principles for living with peace and integrity. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions.
And always do your best.
There you go. Yeah. Those are the four agreements. And they sound so basic, but when you apply them consistently, they remove 90% of unnecessary drama and suffering in life.
Yes, it does.
And so when somebody asks, for a book that can instantly shift, their mindset, this book would be my recommendation.
Absolutely.
We can't, we're about out of time. We could go on, but I can't let the list go out without mentioning Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, no,
and so
old Eckhart.
The Power of Now was his first book.
Yeah.
But I prefer, personally, A World Waiting to Be Born, the follow-up to The Power of Now. I think he expanded it and explained it. Same principles, same concepts, but did a little better job of, maybe
bringing it down to earth.
Bringing it down. There you go. There you go.
Isn't it A New Earth?
A New Earth. You're right.
Yeah,
yes, you are correct. Thank you.
I was kind of scratching my head. I knew it wasn't quite.
Talking about books that we should all read, maybe more than once, today here on Strategies. Be right back. I'm glad that you are here to make sure that I stay straight. Welcome back, folks.
I try to keep you on the straight.
Welcome back to Strategies for... Well, you know what it was?
You had Peck on the mind.
I had, A World Waiting to Be Born was one of Scott Peck's books after The Road Less Traveled.
Right.
And The Power of Now was Eckhart Tolle's first, the book that he broke through on, but
A New Earth.
A New Earth
Yeah.
is the kind of the follow-up book to that. So
right.
Anyway, you couldn't go wrong with either one that I mentioned, but one was by Tolle,
Peck.
one was by Peck. So.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway? Welcome back, folks. Welcome back into Strategies for a Living. Talking about the books that we should all read maybe more than once. What's your takeaway? for our time today?
That books, just like anything we take in, right, are great mirrors and teachers for us. And I love the idea that, when you reread something, you always find something new, or you see it with new eyes. And
yeah, because you have even if you read it
Right.
6 months ago, your eyes 6 months from now are different from your eyes when you first read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a good book doesn't just change what you think, right? But it can change how you think and the perspective that you have
Most
of the
definitely.
world and yourself.
Most definitely.
So-
It's again, there was a great teacher that said over and over and over, and we still don't really believe it. The kingdom is within you.
Yeah.
The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God is within
And everything
you.
else is just reflections back.
And maybe one day we'll catch on to that. And books help us
Oh,
to
big
get there.
time. Yeah.
Books help us to get there. Lauren, thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you. We appreciate you being with us here on Strategies for Living, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, and Azalea Cleaners, and Pintail Roofing, and Learning RX. We train your brain. The Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Godfather, Alligator Italian Sausage, and some pretty good muffies too. Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira, Direct Primary Care. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call to make, who would you call? And what would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Lauren Leon McMillian, I'm David McMillian. We'll see you next time right here on Strategies for Living.